Guys, welcome. We are back on. This is take number 2. If you can hear us and you can see us all right on Facebook Live, type in the chat box, give us a yes. We can read you loud and clear. And I'm going to rip right into this one. I've got a special guest right here with me today, guys. Tom Adam from Camber Martial Arts, actually a good client of mine. We've been working together for about 12 months now. And so, guys, this is the Gym Boss podcast. This is everything sales, marketing, mindset, business development, anything you need to be able to grow your gyms. And we're going to dive in and hear about what, all the good stuff that Tom's been doing and how we've been working together. But before I do, and you want to be, getting all the good stuff like what Tom has, go to iwantgymleads.com. It's iwantgymleads.com. You can go over there. You can see the short little video that I created for you. And if you like what you see over there and you're serious about growing your gym and getting more leads and more clients, then fill in the form and we can have a chat. All right, let's rip in. So Tom has come all the way up. He's escaped the bushfires.
Yes.
He's been to Bunnings getting all these survival supplies up here.
Right, yeah,
And yeah, I know we joke. It's pretty bad at the moment though. And Tom was in the area and he actually made a 2-hour detour to go in and see us today. So I thought it would be really good to do a video and just hear your take, because it's always me talking and me talk. So it'd be good to hear from an actual client today, and things that have been going. So tell us a little bit first. For the guys that don't know Camber Martial Arts, tell us a little bit more about your gym and what your offerings and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. So for those who don't know, Camber Martial Arts, we're a mixed martial arts and fitness club in Canberra. So we've got 5 different martial arts and currently 3 different fitness programs. We actually run boot camp at 2 different locations and everything in one facility. And as of this morning, I think we're 351 current members.
Solid. And that's a mix between kids and adults, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're looking at about 200 kids and about 150 adults, roughly.
Sweet. They are that's definitely a good manageable number. And obviously you wanting to grow more. What's the ultimate that you want to get to with the business though?
Ultimately, I want to get to the point where I teach whatever I want, and I come and go as I please. No, look, it's one of those things that's for me. I've been really blessed the last couple of years. I've been able to take this full time, and I drop my kids off at school. I pick them up every day. I work the hours that I choose, and the timetable around the hours that I've chosen. So, and I've got a really cool loyal team of people that work for me, which is really good, and people who've bought into my passion.
Because it did start off as a hobby business.
Yeah.
That was you because you first got into Hapkido.
Yeah.
Dominate, just went all consuming.
Yeah, that's right. And it was really, well, that's funny. So I consumed here on the Gold Coast, ironically, Jimmy's here on the Gold Coast now, but moved down to Canberra and went, look, I'll just have a business on the side. I'll have 10 members at the end of the first year. In the first year, we had 50 members and a lease. And it was 6 years in before finally somebody said to me one day, hey, that's a nice hobby business. And I didn't sleep for 2 days. And I got really, really angry at myself because, fuck them for, excuse me.
You can swear. It's fine.
You can swear. Because I was like, screw them, screw you guys for letting you think that this is a hobby business. And it's really interesting that one of the things we were talking about before we came on camera was really thinking about, I realized at one point I couldn't do everything myself. I was doing 15 classes a week. I was doing marketing. I was doing advertising. I was doing everything, admin, the whole thing. I was exhausted and working full time. And the moment I switched away from full time, I started realizing, hey, I've got to get other people. We've got to diversify. And so in the last 2 years, we've gone from just teaching one martial art to teaching 5. I've got other people that have come over that are teaching other styles.
You got fitness classes now as well?
Yep. Yeah. So we've got boot camps in the mornings. We do cardio boxing in the afternoons before all the martial arts kick in. And Saturday mornings, it's like fitness, martial arts.
So speaking to people out there, if they are martial arts fight gyms or those sort of, variety sort of style of niche gym, what has it been like what's been the change in your business? What have you seen since introducing non-martial arts, like the fitness stuff?
I think it's like that, that ultimately it answers the question for them. So people would say to you, hey, look, if they've got a gym membership and they want to do martial arts, for example, this is you'd think it was a niche market, but it's actually kind of big. But it's like, you got a gym membership and you want to come do martial arts, and you're thinking, oh man, I have to fork out, $200 a month. Whereas I split the difference, 150, and you can do fitness and martial arts in one place.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the adults in particular, cross-train. The parents who come in with their kids, they've got mums that do cardio boxing and dads that do cardio boxing while the kids are doing martial arts on the other side of the club.
That's cool.
So it's a really, really busy atmosphere. like we'll have like the 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock changeover times, and the person having a look, hello, and
hey mate, you're on camera, you're going live.
The 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
He's still
he's still looking at
creeping in the background.
5, 6, 7 o'clock changeover times are like hectic. And because the place is just busy with people coming and going. And the difference between like a regular gym is like we don't just have any people come in any time. It's set class times, which is really good though. So you get that time before class where you get to have a chat with the members. So you get like 10 minutes to go, hey Jimmy, how are you? How's your week going? You know, and if you see someone in that little honey headspace where they're starting to go, oh, I've had a bad day. You're like, well, guess what? First 3 minutes, like jumping in a pool. It's going to suck, and then after that, it'll be sweet.
Yeah. Well, you could say that about many things.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Doing your accounts.
So that's cool. I want to, because you've achieved some, like, for a lot of people, it's the pinnacle of success. And obviously, everyone that's in their own business always wants to grow and get more. But, like, having 350 members is considered, like, a big deal. Like, it is. Like, a lot of people want to be able to hit that, especially in the niche gym market like what we are, or the micro gym or whatever you want to call it. And I'd like to dive into some of the cool stuff that I think people that are like, maybe they're at 50 members at that hobby stage, maybe they're at 100. Like, what's maybe like 1, 2, 3 sort of things that have been like the thing that's transformed to go from where you were to today?
I think I was actually reflecting on this the other day. I did drive a total of 17 hours in the last 3 days, so I had a bit of time to reflect. With the kids in the car, maybe not so much, but
the music turned up to 100. I can't hear you.
Right. Hopefully they're asleep. Was it or deaf? One of the things is it's what's really, really important is actually communicating your vision to your customers. So people don't go and train with you because they like the martial art that you do. Like, ultimately, that's one of the things that they enjoy, but they buy into your passion. And so if you have that passion, people will buy into your passion. So when people come in, I did an induction the other day. We had we signed up 14 people onto our 14.
It's actually I'm going to butt in here. His induction process is really cool. He calls it the bullshit seminar.
Yeah.
So he basically gets everyone to come in. He texts them, and emails them, and calls them, and everything before they start. He goes, "I want you to bring every single excuse that you've got," and then he writes them on the whiteboard, and then tells them why it's bullshit. It's actually genius.
I get them to yell bullshit at the screen too, which is really at the whiteboard.
It's actually genius. But anyway, carry on.
No, but But one of the things I say to people is that we've got that mini manifesto that we get everybody to put on their phones. I'll pull it up.
And that's something that we
work together on.
Hold on. Does that work?
There you go. It's got the things on it. But one of the things.
Let's read them out. So people know what your mini manifesto is.
It says, "You're awesome. Stay awesome. Never miss a Monday. Have a plan and own it. Inspire others through your passion. Focus on what you can do first. Show up to your accountability sessions and drink water before you're thirsty." That was a little Canberra one there.
And so what that is, the little mini manifesto is something that we created. And I can't say that I invented the term mini manifesto. I borrowed this from Russell Brunson. He has it for ClickFunnels and whatever else. So he's that marketing software. But basically, it's a couple of bullet points that encompass like your ethos or your values and whatever else, and maybe some like actionable sort of little steps. Like Tom's got 7 or 8 there. Yeah. And it's fit, you make it like an image so people can save it as the background on their phone. So when people unlock their phone, they're seeing that and they're getting reminded of why they're trying to be there, why they're trying to, improve themselves, and to keep them on track. Yeah. So it's a really cool little piece to keep people engaged.
Yeah, and look, and it's one of the is to inspire others through your passion. And then, so if there was the 3 things that I would say that are the reasons that my business has gone to where it is now. And look, the target's 3 is to hit over 400 in the next 6 months. But to inspire others through your passion. Because if you imagine you come into a gym, you walk in and the gym instructor's like, "Hey man," and you're like, "Hey dude, I'm here for a class." And like, "Yeah, what up?" And
it's like, the worst.
And they come in like, "Hey man, how are you? Let's do this." I don't care if they think I'm nuts. I really don't care if people think I'm insane.
Because you are.
Yeah, it's a little bit. What do they say? The difference between insanity and eccentric is money. Was it? The other 2 things I've got is one is communicate, like really, really communicate, like constantly communicating to the point where, like, people don't read emails and stuff like that, and we make jokes about it, about people needing things tattooed on their foreheads. But if you're constantly communicating with people, they know where you're at, they understand where you're at, and when you make a decision, be clear in the reason that you made that decision. So a few years ago, I decided to actually cut back on the number of classes that I was teaching. And some people hated that. They were really pissed at me.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty interesting because a lot of people listening in are probably the gym owner that is like doing a lot of things themselves, as you know, wearing all the hats. You're the accountant, you're the trainer, you're the cleaner, you're the everything.
Yeah.
And also, you know, as I said, you're the trainer, you're the face of the business. So how did you change that? How did you turn that around? Because people obviously got a bit upset at start.
Well, it just got to the point. I was like, well, first of all, I replaced myself with classes led by people who are experts in those fields. So I got in a PT who'd been doing it for 15 years, and I got in a Taekwondo instructor who's been doing it 15 years, and they had the qualifications to do it. So if you get somebody who's like, and look, admittedly, we've had staff come in and like 2 weeks in, we've gone, out you go.
Yeah.
But like when you find the
But
right
that's not
ones,
the end of the world
No.
either, because as people think like when you make a hire, it's forever.
No.
It's kind of like
No.
it's not. So that like nothing is permanent, and you have to be able to make swift decisions. I think
right.
instead of like I know I've seen this before where
It's
you know,
hard.
people hold on, and I've done this personally with my own fitness business. I held on to trainers for too long that they ended up being toxic, and we lost clients, and you know all this sort of stuff. So the quicker you can cut out the cancer, so to speak, the better it is, and that comes with practice.
And I think the other thing is reminding your customers that that person is your representative. So I had to have that. You only get it occasionally. You say to people, okay, you trust me? And they're like, yeah. Like, so you trust my judgment, right? You trust me to teach you.
You're saying this to the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I talk to my clients as if I talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't hold back. And I've had clients I've dragged in my office and I've ticked off and said, mate, this is my business. You know, you need to trust me or don't. And if you don't trust me, you can
Because a lot of people are afraid of losing clients as well.
But you don't know the client that you lose sometimes. I had a client years ago that we when we did this transition kicked up a royal stink because the classes that he could attend weren't mine anymore. And he was like, I'm paying for this and I'm paying for that. And I said to him, well, mate, you don't have to pay. You can go somewhere else. And your happiness is important. If you're not happy here, find your happiness somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's pretty special to be able to do stuff with integrity.
Yeah.
Because that's like sticking with your values and what you want to do. And obviously not going in there and being offensive to people. But it's just like, I just don't feel like this is maybe the best thing for you, and then maybe suggesting other options for them to take, because it's number one, protecting your space, which is your gym and your community and your people. Because again, same as with staff, if you've got a bad apple, it's gonna become cancerous quite quickly, and that's not great for business. So you can either try and save the client, which I think you should always try and do, is number first. If you can try and save the client, but then if they're not coming to meet you halfway, because they have to put in they have to put in the same amount of effort as you. Like they can't
I think it's more, rather than effort and saving them, it's more getting them to buy into your vision.
Yeah.
So if you're on a train, you're going forward, this is my vision, this is my mission, this is where I'm going, these are my list of values. And when you come into my club, I've got it on the wall, mission, vision, values, up on my outside my office, all my values are there. So people know when I start talking about something, I point at them. And it's like, if you don't buy into those values, that's your decision. That's totally cool. And then, but the thing is, when that person left that I was talking about, I had 5 or 6 customers come up to me and say, oh, thank God, like, you know, like it was really tough to train with them and so on and so forth.
So to recap, number one is like have values and clear vision of where you want to get to. And number 2 is then being able to communicate those values and the vision to your team and to your clients.
And wrapping every single communication around that.
Yeah.
So there's every single one that you could get, every mission, vision and value that you've got. When you wrap a communication, this is the reason we're doing that.
Okay, so I want you to go to number 3, if you can.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. We're in the middle of it. We decided to do this in the middle of a shopping center, so we've got a lot of people walking.
So Jimmy doesn't look like he's just hiding in his house all the time.
So what I want to do is go rip through the 2 or 3 things, but then maybe give 1 or 2 tactical ways of how you can implement those things. Because people are like, cool, heard vision, values a million times. How the fuck do I do it?
I know, it sounds like an MBA student.
Yeah, I know. So like, because I'm all about like, especially on this podcast, is like, how can people take something from each episode and actually use it instead of it being a lot of fluff?
Yeah.
So what would be values is number 1. 2 is communicate those values. And what would be your third?
The third one is actually something I just discovered. It's not that I discovered it, but it was like somebody else articulated it for me just recently, like yesterday actually. And it was like, don't feel bad, don't shame yourself for being a generalist. So a lot of people go, I'm a specialist, like, so I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Hey, I've been doing Hapkido, been instructing for 15 years, and I got my 6th degree black belt in Hapkido last year, but I also got my blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu last year. So
What's the belt structure? Because I have no idea.
So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is white, blue, purple, brown, black.
Oh, so blue is like almost newbie status.
Oh, yeah, 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years
got
in.
it.
Like, it takes you 10 years to get your black belt.
Got it.
And but for me, it's about not staying in my lane and having some other knowledge. So when people come in and they go to talk to me about the classes, I can relate to them. And so even if you're not teaching the classes, you've got to be able to talk about them. So don't feel bad if somebody says, hey, you know, what do they do in cardio boxing? You go, cool, where's Dave? The guy who teaches cardio boxing. I'll grab him and drag him in and put him in front. He's a horrible salesperson. I love Dave. Hey, if you're watching this, dude, I absolutely love you, man, but you're terrible with sales. Like, let's just put it to you like that. Brilliant PT. But then take what he says and then connect it back. And that's that whole thing. So don't feel bad about either knowing more, like heaps of different things. Who cares if you know a bit about everything? But in the same breath, if you don't know what you're talking about, get someone else to answer the questions. And this is linking it back to why I got working with Jimmy, is that I was working with somebody else before, and they just weren't answering my questions the way I needed them answered. And I found Jimmy because I know Jimmy was going to answer the questions the way I needed them answered, and he's going to talk to me with the same level of passion.
Yeah. That comes back to one of your other points, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You've got to have that passion. And so, and here I am today. So 12 months later, we went from 280 at the beginning of last year, and we hit 3. We went a bit higher, but then at the end of year time, look, and we all businesses, everybody, like a lot of people cancel.
You have a bit of that attrition over the Christmas break.
I think we had a lot more because of the smoke, and Canberra's been quite hit by the fires and stuff. So normally we get about 3% a month. So we had about 4.5%, 5%
attrition over the December.
November, December.
Yeah.
So it was tough, but we've been working on how we're going to smash it this year.
Yeah, exactly. And you've had some, like, just a few humble brags there for yourself as well since us working together. You had a few record months in terms of revenue.
Yes.
So if you don't mind share, if you don't have to share the numbers, if you don't want to.
I've got to try to remember them. So it was we hit.
Before I started working together, what was your record month?
The record month before I started working with Jimmy was
$39,000.
Yep.
Yeah,
$39.
Yeah.
$39,000. And look, and sometimes people hear these numbers and they go, "Oh, this is just ridiculous. It's too big." Blah blah blah. Like, just put them in scale. So if whatever that, you can call them 39 schmeckles for all I care. Like, so it was like, you know, no, don't get overwhelmed by numbers like that, because it's the big. Hey, more money, more problems. I can tell you that.
Yeah, more tax, more everything. Right?
Anyway. Yeah. More accountant fees. But so it was 39, and then and we sort of hit 37, 38 through the year working with Jimmy, and then July we hit 45. I was like, far
cheering.
Out. 45, and I think it ended up being like 47 after the dust settled. Little dribs and drabs and reconciling and stuff like that. And we're like, you know, I don't think we could do this. And then I was like, you know what, bugger it. And the next month we hit 54, and I was like, whoa, how the hell are we going to top this? So then we went a couple of months and it went back to sort of that normal sort of 34,000. And then in, I think it was October, we hit 64.
Yeah, which is huge.
64 grand. Yeah, and then December, wham.
But that's to be expected. That's to be expected. Right. There is like, and that's why I want everybody to, like, we share all the highlight stuff, but I think this is good to be like, it's just real. Like, business is not a straight linear line. Like, there's ups and downs, ebbs and flows, and it's okay. It's supposed to happen.
It's got to ride the wave.
It's supposed to happen. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, but the only thing is, like, if you can mitigate those, you know, the drops, you know, by looking and playing the long-term game.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing short-term and always short-term focus, looking at the sale now rather than, you know, looking at how do we consistently grow over time, that's where you usually get yourself in a spot of bother. But that's what Tom's done this year, or this last year, is like just looking forwards, always looking to progress, and, you know, putting plans in place instead of just winging it, which is basically what we're trying to say.
And there's a little bit of a connected thought. I was talking with a colleague of mine in Melbourne who has 7 gyms and I think it's like 3,500 members he's got down in Melbourne, who does martial arts and fitness. And
it's a lot of admin.
Oh, yeah, he's got staff for this.
Yeah, of course.
Well, admittedly, he said they're not doing as good as they should. And admittedly, he showed the same attrition rates. But what he said was really interesting, and that I've done these sales where I've done like 12, 18 months in advance. And a lot of these spikes are from some of these sales that we've done. And coincidentally, in October last year, that we just finished, the year before I'd done the 12-month sale, and I didn't think anything of it. Out of the 10 people who signed up for 12 months, 9 of them signed up and paid for another 12 months in advance. So I had a little kicker in October, again, without me having to run an advertising campaign.
Yeah, and that's
So that's
crucial.
going to come back. So June, July next year, and November next year, these people are going to be coming back again.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for another little bit of tactical stuff there, because that's actually pretty cool. So just to recap, the 3 points is
Passion.
the values,
Yep.
the values, then communication, which is like how we communicate with passion.
Yep.
And what was the third one?
Was it know your shit and don't be afraid to tell people if you don't?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And so if we can get some tactical stuff on that, but also I think before we do, what's some tactical stuff on, like, people are probably listening to this going, oh, hell yeah, how do I get somebody to pay me 12 months in full?
Well, again, that's the whole value proposition, isn't it? So obviously people are going to expect a discount. But if you think about it like this, if someone were paying you $100 a month, right, and let's say they pay you $100 a month.
They should be paying $200 a month, FYI.
I'm just using numbers, man.
Okay.
Hang on. So let's say they're paying you $200 a month, and at the end of each year, people go, oh, they paid me $2,400. No, they haven't paid you $2,400. They paid you $2,400 less GST, less credit card fees, less other stuff that you
GST
pay.
for anyone international listening is
VAT.
Yeah, VAT or just tax.
Sales tax.
Sales tax.
Sales tax. Ours is 10% here. But the thing is that if you offer them the 12 months in advance, you can take a lot of those recurring fees out of it. So if each month it's 2.5%, whatever it is on your direct debit system. So I say to people, look, if you want to pay 6 months in advance, it's 10% discount. 20% if it's 12 months. And if you want to pay 18, it's 25% off.
Yeah, so you get people paying you a year and a half in advance, which is not many people get that. And I think that says a lot.
That was $3,600.
Yeah.
For 18 months.
For an upfront sale,
yes.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, man, I could use at least one of those each month. Imagine if you had just one of those per month.
Yeah.
That's just cream, extra cream, you know what I mean? So obviously you don't get the recurring cash flow from that. Yeah. And I think there is an issue with, if you do, which you've experienced as well, which we can talk about, is doing too many paid in fulls.
Yeah.
And then because you're like, that month is great, but then the following month you don't have the recurring weekly or monthly debit cash coming through. So then your sales will like stabilize.
So that was, and we noticed that with after the November sale. So I went from 27.5 grand a month in recurring revenues over the next 12 months, and it's dropped down to, after the dropouts, about 24. Yeah. And so we're looking at how do we build that up. We've done the sales beginning of the year and stuff like that, building it back up so we can get to that 35 for January.
Yeah, that's a consistent monthly revenue ticking over, and then there's all that extra sales he was doing with like all paid in fulls or like trial memberships or whatever else. Like when we say trial memberships, they're still paid in full, but they're only for a shorter terms, like 28 days or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of strategy behind all the sales component there. But let's go back, and I think actually before we go into those things, people paying you 12 months, 18 months in advance it really says something about hitting on those three values that you have. Like, they love the brand.
Yeah.
They love what you're all about. They think it's good value for money. They're loving the community. Yeah. They're feeling the passion. That's part, like, sales and marketing is like what I talk about on this here, but a lot of what keeps a business, like that's like the ignition that turns it on. Yeah. But what really keeps it going is the experience in the club and what you're doing in there in terms of client appreciation, retention, delivery of services, just straight straight up customer service as well. And I think that's a real, that you should be proud that people are paying you 12 and 18 months, because it says a lot about what you're doing in club.
You got to walk the walk if you can talk the talk.
Yeah. So let's go back to point one. Man, I forget what point values.
You got to watch
values.
it again.
So point one, the values. What's some people like cool values, vision, great. What's some tactical stuff like? How do I get my values? How do I get my vision?
So for I wrote my mission and my vision years ago, and
because it sounds to me I like to call that corporate wank. That's what I used to think it was. I used to think it was corporate wank. What is the vision and the mission and the blah, 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 fucking bullshit, like corporate wank, right? But I've since changed my tune over the years. But if I want to call it something else, I want to call it something else like anyway, the values is like, and what you live by, right?
Yeah.
So how do people create that stuff?
I suppose it was what I did was I looked at. It did take me months, and it wasn't something like I went, okay, I have to have this done by a particular date. I was like, what is meaningful? So somebody asked me a question. They were like, what is meaningful to you in terms of like, what do you want to, like, your vision is like that whole thing is like, what do you want? So when people walk in, they're like, the vision is that we're going to create a martial arts and fitness program like nothing else available. And that's like, if you have all the money in the world.
That's kind of like, so vision is kind of like the end result.
Look, if you had $1 billion in the bank, what could you do?
Yeah, like what do you want to build?
Yeah.
What are you ultimately looking to create?
Yeah.
And then the values is like your day-to-day, what the rules that you live by.
Yeah. So we've got ones like, it's like fun, safe, then martial arts. So if we're teaching a martial arts class, it has to be fun, it has to be safe before you can teach martial arts. Because you don't learn if you're not having fun. If it ain't safe, it ain't worth doing. And then we've got other ones like inspire through your passion. Learn something new and share something new every day. And so they're not just vision values for us, they're values for our customers. So when people come in, we ask them to actually buy into those values and say, okay, cool. Hey, you're in a gym and you're doing, hey Jimmy, I know you're absolutely ripped, man. You're doing your curls and stuff like that. Next time you see someone who's having a bit of problems, can you give them a few tips that you've learned along the way? If for example, if Dave's not paying attention, like he's working with Steve over there, then you see another guy over there, just give him some tips if his elbows are going too wide, whatever it is. And they're sharing. But also what happens is you're getting better at the technique, because if you can't teach the technique, you can't explain it.
Yeah.
And therefore you don't know how to do it.
So that's really cool. I like that, because that also makes them, for number one, makes that person feel awesome, because you recognize that they're doing a good job.
That's right.
And they're like, oh, you go home and you're like, oh, Tom says I've got good technique.
Yeah.
So much so that he wants me to help other people do it. So that gives them that sense of significance, I think, which is really cool. It also helps foster community, because now he or she that you've just given props to now feels more inclined to go talk to other people.
Yeah.
Instead of staying in their own little world, just doing their workout by themselves. They're going to go over and start that interaction with somebody else and get to know them, and that's creating that community element.
And when we do that, when in the onboarding process, I say to every single member, and it's like a little bit of reverse psychology. I say, when you start, so Jimmy, you're starting at the club tomorrow, mate, when you go into the class the first time, if you look a bit lost, everyone's going to come up and say good day and introduce themselves and things like that. So I've said that to every single person before you. So what do when you walk in? Everyone else has heard this before, and they automatically know, hey, Jimmy, my name's Tom. Hey, nice to meet you. Welcome. Is this your first class? Oh, fantastic. What are you doing? How did you get in? Yada, yada, yada. Next thing, the person feels like amazed that they walk in and there's other customers engaging with them and going, holy crap, this place isn't just you don't just like, you go into like the Globo gym and you're doing your Les Mills, like they get your weights and piss off, It's like you go in and everyone's like, hey man, hey Tom, hey Jimmy, how are you? They get to know each other. They get to know all the nuances. They get to know who's the antichrist of mornings, who's better in the evenings. But as he said, it's a community for sure.
I love that. So for me to add into this is why I used to call it corporate wank, but now I think it's actually something that I've seen, because I've seen it in action, actually be really good, which is the values for the clients, what you live, what you do in the gym,
staff,
but also,
Yeah.
but also for the staff. And this is what I saw, which was really cool. And I heard this years ago, and it's so true, is that once you start to become the business owner rather than the guy that just does everything. So when I mean, like when you start getting a team and you start having trainers and other staff working for you, your job then becomes not just to sell your clients on it. Is like you have to constantly resell your staff on the vision and the values, because then they become your communication networks out to the rest of the
They have to buy in just as much.
So
as
and that's a daily process.
Yes.
You can't do it once. It's not a set and forget thing. It's something that you have to live and breathe by.
Yeah.
However, I think in saying this, I'd love to know yours. How many times have you changed your values or edited them? Because a lot of people think that it has to be right from day one. They can change. You can change them over time.
But they're not perfect. Who cares if they're not perfect? And you can also transmutate, I think is somebody the word. But you can take what it means, like take it, and you can apply it. So one of the values that we've got is that around the showing compassion, and so it's always about show compassion, and it's more about if someone comes in and they're in a really, really bad mood. The wording is like show compassion and be respectful. But you can apply that. It doesn't have to be. It's not what it means at the time can be different. I wrote it for martial arts, like, you know, show compassion and be respectful. It's like the instructors need to show compassion that people don't remember everything you teach them straight away, but you've got to if I want to earn your respect, I've got to earn it. So I've got to be respectful to you too. I can't expect you to be respectful. But in a fitness environment, showing compassion can be, hey man, I know you've got some back issues. Let's work around that, and so on. And that little tiny bit of respect there is going to earn me some respect back, that I've taken the time to actually give a shit about you.
Yeah, I love that. I said that, I think potentially even on just the last podcast I did. It was in terms of sales, but it applies everywhere. It's like the bond is what's correct. It's not. And I actually heard that on the Kevin Hart TV series that it's on at the moment. His life story sort of thing is. He was talking about his dad, where it was like the bond is. I love him. He was my dad, but there was no bond because he wasn't there. And so, how do you get the bond? He goes, the bond is earned. It's not just given. It's earned. So he had to physically be there. And the way to do it, to earn that bond, to earn that trust, to earn that respect, is one-to-one communication. Too many people are trying to automate stuff, and you can automate certain elements, but you can't automate the human interaction. If you try and remove as much human interaction as possible, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. But anyway, so that's the values, right? Yeah. So you sit there and like maybe just figure out what's important to you, take some time to yourself, write it out, and then go away, grab a coffee, go for a walk, and come back and reread it, and then see if it sits right with you. And that's then becomes how you hire people, how you advertise, how you run your business, how you run your classes, the types of people you want to attract. Everything all fits within that, doesn't
absolutely. It? It's a framework.
Yeah,
that's how you see. I built the values around how I see the world, and my own shared experiences and my own lived experiences. And hey, look, and as Jimmy said before, like I've had times where, hey, in my first 2 years of opening the gym, I went like 3 members in the first year, went to 50 in Elise. We went up to 130, and then I had massive problems with some politics in the martial arts, and my gym halved in numbers. And you would think, okay, that would kill any business. And I literally went back to the club one Saturday afternoon, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I was going back. I was literally.
I'm sure people can relate. They've had that conversation with themselves many a time.
I was like, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. I went back to the club to pick up my laptop and some other stuff that was there. I was literally going to lock up and walk away and not ever do anything again. And I walked into the club, and there were 30 people in there cleaning the place. These are people who pay me to teach them. They were in there cleaning my club. And I was blown out of the water. And that is one of the reasons I'm still doing it to this day.
Is that because of your values?
Well, I hadn't written them down then. But I think it's like looking back, it was because people were like, they trusted that all the stuff that was going on, all the horrible stuff that people were saying about me, and there was some horrible shit, guys. But the people who stuck around were like, that's not Tom. That's out of context or whatever they were thinking. And I didn't ask them to do anything. And I literally went back. I'm never there at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. I walked in, and there's all these people, and they're up on ladders cleaning the windows and doing all this stuff.
That's amazing.
So that was back in like 2013.
And so now fast forward here in 2020, you've got your live at those. That was your sort of first realization where you were like, back then, that you're like, wow, these people must have living and breathing the stuff that you have communicated with them verbally
I still
and demonstrated.
Why. People train with me every day. And don't be scared. If you ask yourself why do people train with you? They train with you because they bought into your passion.
Yeah, I think that's true. Because people are always looking, I heard this somewhere in a marketing sense, but people are always trying to plug into something. Yeah. They want to be part of a movement, be part of a group, be part of a community or whatever. So why not yours? Why not yours? I think that's it. And but now, with your values, you said earlier that you've got them like on the wall, like so everyone can see.
I've got them on a big, outside my office, a big glass wall. It's like 2.5 meters, and it goes floor to ceiling, and they're in gigantic letters, like 1 through 8.
Kind of, I like. If you're still struggling, think of it kind of like the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
You know, what's your
without the scary stuff?
Yeah, without the you're going to die stuff. What about like think of it like what's your 10 commandments for your gym? Or what's your 5 commandments? Like, and if you think of it like that, that might help you be able to get something that they can do. All right. So number 2, communicate with passion.
Yeah. So like everything you put into it, it's like.
So what's some tactical, practical things that people can take that help communicate with passion?
Say thank you a lot.
Okay.
Like, so when I did my end of year video and I did this massive thank you and I thanked everybody and say thank you, like even when people come in, you're like, hey man, how are you? Thanks for coming in today. And people are like, just, you know, people get weirded out by it. Like I get weirded out. People say thank you to me and I'm like, what the fuck you thanking me for? I've just opened the place. But it's like that whole thing. It's like, you know, you've got to be grateful and you've got to be passionate about, I use that word passion a lot because that's who I am. But so when I'm communicating in the, say, even the emails, I'm like, you know, can't wait to see you on the mat soon is how I sign off. And so everybody knows when I see them next time that I'm like, hey, Jimmy, how are you, man? Welcome back, you know, let's get into it. Or, you know, like, what do you want to do today? Or, you know, and showing how grateful we are. The camera actually is not burning right now. It's just covered in acrid smoke.
So everyone's having to wear those gas masks.
Masks I bought some. You can't buy them in Canberra. I came to the Gold Coast just for masks. But it's like that whole thing. It's like, but I'm grateful, and so it's, you know, it's being grateful and thankful and showing people that you actually genuinely have a heart.
So I think that's really cool. So like you can do it in all your communication, like in person, but for social media posts as well, don't make it all just about you or just here's how to do a squat or here's how to throw a punch or here's how to whatever. Like make it about the person, make it about them, because yes, the business is there first and foremost to provide for us, but how do we do that is by getting the business to provide something of value to other people.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then
it's... And I ask questions from their perspective. So how can I help you? Like that's an expression we've all heard. How can I help you? It's like, help me help you.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, those sorts of things.
Okay, I like that. So you throw it in your emails, like to your database of like current clients and also just people that are just on your...
Okay, so I'll give you an example. So today I wrote an email to everybody saying, yes, classes are on, guys. Here's the timetable here. And just like, yeah. And yes, the timetable's here. I know it's really bad with smoke. If you've got asthma or respiratory issues, don't train. The rest of us, we're going to be working on techniques. And you know, I really appreciate you making the effort to come in. See you on the mat soon. And it's little things like that. It was basically, we care. We're still here. And we can't wait to see you if you can come in.
That's awesome. Is there any other ways of communicating with passion, maybe to the team?
The team, yeah. Passion can flow over into appear to be anger too. Little tip for your team: if you lose your cool, which you're allowed to do every now and then, if you lose your cool, make sure someone in your team knows that that's going to happen before you do it. Think about that. So.
But also that, like, I'm not condoning losing your cool, but it's coming from a place because you give a shit.
Yeah, because exactly. They know that. So I had at the end of last year, we had a lot of pressure, a lot of stuff going on, this massive event organizing. And I didn't yell at anybody. I lost it. I was like, no more decisions without speaking to me first. And I overheard my 2IC talking to one of my staff saying, they were like, oh, he's really angry. And she's like, no, he's just really passionate to make sure that this actually works. And so my team know that I'm not coming from a place of resentment. I'm not coming from an anger like, Jimmy, you cocked this up. I'm not abusing it. I'm like, dude, I can't do it anymore. And I need you to be with me, helping me out. Don't get in my way. And they know that it's just me wanting everything to be perfect, which it never is. But that's another story. That's another podcast.
And what was our third point? Oh man, I keep forgetting.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it? Yeah.
It's about the generalist.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to say I don't know. I think it's sort of as a martial artist, a lot of people they bullshit their way through life.
So, like, let's just say, as a human being, you bullshit your way through.
I think martial artists are particularly spectacular at this.
Is that because the sense of pride? Because martial arts is, by and large, the individual about how they progress. Because it's not like a team ball sport. Yes, you are practicing with other people, but ultimately, when you do gradings and stuff, it's just you.
No, look, okay, so I think it's even higher order than that. So in 2012, I got my 5th degree black belt. So I awarded the rank of master. And so what is a master of a martial art? The connotation of that word is that you know everything. Oh, no. I just know what I don't know. And do the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm like down the bottom. I know that I don't know. I don't know everything. And so a lot of people are like embarrassed to say, someone says, they make up an answer for, they make something up. They make up an answer for why they do a particular thing, rather than just saying to the student, like if you came to me and say, hey, Tom, what is this technique? Why do we lift this weight this particular way? And if I don't know on the spot, I'll be like, dude, I'm going to get back to you with an answer to that because right now I'm stumped.
Yeah, and I think that people appreciate that honesty though, as well, because you don't want to just give an answer just for the sake of giving an answer. You want to be able to give the right answer.
Yes, and come back to them with the answer too. So that continuity. So hey, Jimmy, yesterday you asked me why we do this. I spoke to these 3 people, and we do it because of these 5 reasons. And my favorite, and it works, and I don't know why, but it does work. Okay, so that's why we're doing it. Are we cool? And if you don't believe me, go and talk to Tam, or go and talk to that person.
I think that's really cool because you can that can just build even more loyalty to the brand and your business and your gym, because you're actually you're listening, and then you're actually responding to them individually. Like if someone asks a question about whatever, then you text them or email them, or even call them or whatever. They're going to be like, holy crap, how good is that?
The tip with that is, so I was doing the sales calls before Christmas. I don't remember where I told you if I did it. So each person, I had a pile of timetables, so all the class times, and I had them printed out in front of me. So I was talking to somebody on the phone, had the earphones in, talking to the person, and I was writing their name on the timetable, and I was circling the classes that are going to suit them. And I wrote down what they did for a living and the hours that they work and the suburb they live in. And then when they came in to sign up, I actually gave them that timetable.
Oh, nice.
So it was on the top of all the paperwork was that. And it said, like Jimmy Halley, and you work, these are the hours, and this is what you're looking to do, and the class is circled. And so that continuity follows through. So it's like they asked me a question, I answered it, and then I provided the evidence to back that up.
See, I love that. I think that's really cool. And then that goes into like, obviously, shameful plug here of coming in to hire somebody like myself to do the marketing. Because when you do get to a certain point, we know as business owners, and even for me, I know there's elements of my business where I don't know everything, and it's better to then go search for somebody that has the answers. So whether that be a mentor, or whether that be a staff member, or whether that be a service provider like what I do, wherever it is, it's always you need to be in the right spot for it. But getting help from other people is the way to grow, because if you try and do everything by yourself, and I see this all the time with gym owners, get to a ceiling where it's maybe around that 100 member mark.
141. Oh my God.
So if you get to
3
that,
months.
So if you get to that maybe 100 member mark is usually, and where this is based off a gym that charges roughly, I'm saying roughly for figures here, $50 a week, or the $150, $200 a month. If you're charging around that price point, we got little kids here. Yeah, boys. Woo! That's all right. That's all right.
We've got kids, we get it.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
So there's toys. See, interruption by kids is always welcome on the show. And I've lost my train of thought. Here, getting a specialist in.
I'm going to ask it like this, Jimmy. So, how much is your time worth?
Yeah,
and so it's like I get more value out of a 1 hour meeting with Jimmy than I would sitting by myself in my office for 8 hours trying to figure out what I was going to do.
Yeah. So like, you get to a certain point in business where you're like, okay, you either got time or money, and it's best to, to what you can invest, right?
Sometimes you don't have both.
Yeah. Well, you have time or money, right? And they're the two things that you can invest. Like, okay, I need to say, for example, just for ease sake, I need to figure out how to do Facebook ads. Okay, you can invest all your time, like how I did at the start, because I was broke ass trying to figure it out for my own gym, and I spent months and months and months and months, if not years, refining it for myself. Hence why now I'm where I'm at, because I've got the years under the belt of all the shit time of eating, as Gary Vee would say, eating shit. But then, like, if I had the option back then, I would have invested the cash, because then I would have figured it all out within a matter of weeks instead of a matter of years. And that's the difference. Yeah. I think that's the difference, is just acceleration of time. And also, you're buying back time. When you hire people, it's not an expense, it's an investment. If they bring a return back on that money put in, because an investment can come back in terms of how much time you're saving per week, or it can come back in as how much return on money that you're getting. Yeah. And so that saving of time, if you're saving yourself 10, 15 hours a week or 20 hours a week by getting a marketing person to come in, or you're saving yourself 10, 15, 20 hours by hiring a salesperson, or by saving 10 hours by hiring a VA or an admin person. Like, all of that is investments that then you can then go use that spare time to go reinvest back into the things that help grow the business even more, or spend more time with your family.
And so, Jimmy hasn't sort of talked about this, but I'm a stats man. So I have like
ultimate stat. He's the stat man.
Yeah, I've got like spreadsheets like you wouldn't believe. So, and I didn't tell Jimmy I was going to say this, but when I started working with Jimmy, before I was working with Jimmy, my ad campaigns were averaging about 150 to 200% return on investment. So for every dollar that I spent, I was getting between $2 and $3 back. When I'm working with Jimmy, that's now I get between $7 and $8 back for every dollar that I'm spending. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
No, there was one campaign that I did that was spectacularly bad, but the rest have been really, really good. And I think it's looking at the strategies and testing, and we're talking about the dials. If you turn too many dials at the same time, hey man, and we turn too many dials at the same time, you don't understand what's working. And so what we did with Jimmy is like we sit down and we go, okay, there's 5 dials, we're going to tweak one and see if anything changes. If it doesn't change, then we test something else. And that's that have some faith in investing into some advertising and trying things out. And then when you get that narrowed focus, when you zoom in, just smash it when it starts to work. And if it doesn't, pull back and figure out just change one thing and see what happens. And that's what we've done. That's what the highlight of the last 12 months has really been, changing that marketing from just sort of like a splattergun, and really and every now and then we'll do just like a little bit of range finding, and then we'll find the target, and then we'll just hone in on that.
Yeah, double, triple, quadruple down on that. And that's the thing. Once you find something good, don't be afraid to just go gangbusters on it, like, because it won't work forever, because you always got to be testing and iterating and changing. But once you find something, like, go for it.
And look, we had the one that's been working for like 2 years. I've had a campaign that's worked every month for 2 years, and the last 2 months, nothing. But then we had something else that has just kicked ass. So why not try it? Don't be afraid.
Perfect segue here. Guys, go to iwantgymleads.com. That's if you want the same stuff as Tom's got. That's iwantgymleads.com. There's a short video. It's probably like 3-4 minutes long. Go over there, watch it. And that's if you're a gym owner that's serious about growing, getting more leads, getting more clients, growing your brand all at the same time, and be able to win back more time for yourself, so you can be able to be doing what you do best, which is being in the club, or being in the gym with your clients, growing your team, or maybe even spending more time with your family, whatever it is. That's iwantgymleads.com. Go over there, watch the short video.
Or spending less time with your family if that's what you want.
Or whatever it is you want. But Tom, my man, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you. Here's to see what we can do in 2020. And any parting words for anybody?
I would say don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You can't be perfect. Just make mistakes, learn from them. For every that whole, you get knocked down 9 times, get up 10 times.
Yeah, I like that. That's it's some other people call it failing forward. So because fail and then keep moving forward. Fail, keep going forward. The only time you really fail is when you let it all consume you and think that you failed. You're actually failed, but it's just figured out a way that it doesn't work.
Oh yeah, and the other one, my favorite is I like this one. The only person who worries about you is you.
So true. All right, legends, this is us. Peace. We'll see you all on the next one.